Good morning, everyone. Microphone check, screen check. Looks like everything's working correctly here. Good. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone was able to rest up, get ready for the day ahead and all that fun stuff. Hopefully you've been having some fun with the morning crypto volatility as well. There's quite a bit going on over on that front. Jeez. Anyway, before we jump on in, as always, on the right side of the screen there, make sure to read through the live trader morning prep PDF. Very important to go through and understand everything that is inside there. Of course, along with that, also important to note that on the YouTube side, you are looking at about a 5 and 30 second delay, depending on where you're logging in from, and that will definitely impact the timeliness of what I may be talking about at any given moment. 2 seconds, hang on. All right. And then, of course, I just want to take a second, like we do every day, to thank all of our new members, subscribers, Academy students, VIPs, everyone in between. Welcome to the SSFTG fam. I'm super excited to have you all on board. If you aren't part of the fam yet, there are a ton of different ways to join up. The easiest way is to join as a YouTube member with the join button below the stream. It gets you in the chat room, the YouTube community boards, stock and crypto chart posts, and all that fun stuff, and a bit more behind the scenes in what's going on. Of course, if you want to understand how we do everything and what it is that we are doing every day, check out the Day Trading Academy along with all of the other huge amounts of information over on ssftg.com. So whether you're here for the first time or the 1000th, good morning, welcome. I hope you're all ready to rock and roll alongside of me today, analyzing these crazy markets of ours. Let's take a look at some markets, take a look at some news, take a look at some charts, see what all is going on for today. Always a fun one. Don't forget to grab your morning DP levels. Those are posted for you every morning on the Major 7. Nasdaq, S&P, Gold, Crude, Euro, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. And Bitcoin and Ethereum are rocking and rolling. Jeez, unbelievable amounts of movement today there. Anyway, with that aside, don't forget as well the news today. There's quite a bit of it strewn throughout the morning. A lot of news earlier this morning at 8:30 with the initial jobless claims and Philly Fed manufacturing indexes. That's out of the way, obviously, for us now going into the U.S. session. But going on 10 o'clock, we have the existing home sales for September. That forecast is 6.09 million. So 10 o'clock also has the existing home sales for September month over month. That one's a little bit smaller. And then way later in the afternoon or evening at 2100 Eastern, we have FOMC member Williams speaking. That's it. So it's pretty straightforward. Hey, Maurice, how's it going? Good morning, good morning. All right, let's jump in, see what all is going on for today. Starting off on the Nasdaq is continuing its upward momentum, and man, it's pinning this thing to the ceiling. We've got a really big amount of bullish continuation, and like we've been talking about, is this going to be the channel breakout over here? Retest as support, which is what it's trying to do right now. Hey, Steven, how's it going? Or is this going to be a midline somewhere inside of here, which does arguably look pretty good? And if that's going to be the case, if that's the midline, then where's the top of it, right? If that's the case, then we've got to assume that there's probably going to be right about there, right? Now, it didn't quite make it all the way up, but man, it came pretty close. Kind of close as good enough type scenario. But as it stands, it didn't go exactly 1-to-1 to the upside, but man, it came pretty close. And with the overall movement to the upside, obviously the bulls are still intent on keeping this thing going. But nobody really wants to buy at the top. Who wants to buy at the high, hoping that it goes higher? I mean, sure, it might work, but chances are you're going to probably run into issues. So a lot of traders are going to be waiting for the pullback. And as far as the pullback is concerned, well, the first one was relatively sharp. But now, since then, we've been just kind of finding a balance. And that lines up really nicely with the previous support. I tell you what looks really nice, or what would look really nice, is a little trap underneath this low to retest that earlier wedge down in whatever price that would be, 284. That'd be nuts. Either way, bulls are trying to keep it going to the upside. We'll have to see in what it is that they are looking for at the moment. But from the top down and continuing over, from the top down, the volume point on the Nasdaq's up in the 366s. It's around settlement. It's got some work to do. Hey, Brad, how's it going? Over on the S&P, Similar situation, obviously. The market is, well, I mean, they're pretty closely related, the Nasdaq and the S&P, but the Nasdaq has had a lot of stuff going on with Apple launching new stuff and tech announcements and all that. But, you know, really, they are reflective of one another, and the S&P is showing very similar traits. We're going sideways. It would look really nice to get a trap underneath the lows. As far as the overall volume is concerned, let's go from the top to the lows. And the POC is right on top of settlement. So, I mean, it's basically just a copy-paste of the NASDAQ. There's not really much else that we have to do because of that. But I guess if we go across here and see if they want to line anything up, I really wish that low would have just been a bit nicer. But you can't win them all, I guess. They would have been trying to get a channel going like that, but that didn't work. Maybe here? Oof. That supports a really nice trap underneath the lows, side note, but that's really about it. Over on gold, gold's back and forth, choppy, sloppy, up and down, and left and right and sideways, and we're still sideways, chopping around, but sellers did maintain their control off of the highs. Worked out for a beautiful drop to the downside. Can't ask for much more than that. How's it going, laddie? But as far as the continuation is concerned, I mean, we can see we've got higher lows all the way across. And, well, it doesn't look like that's changing much. That could cause some concerns. The sellers are trying to get something going, but if the sellers are going to win this fight, then really we're going to have to see them roll. Let's see. Oh, God, that sucks. All the way down through 1768. The POC's way at the bottom. The last time they tried to get anything done, they got ran over. I mean, they have so much work to do in order to get this done. Now, as far as the upward move goes, right, from the bottom to the top, we've got a POC, if we get rid of the old one here, which is a bit more in the kind of upper portions, the upper third. So if the sellers are trying to get this to rotate down, this is a good point, but we're still holding it as support. They've got to get underneath this now. Right now, it seems like bulls are trying to get this to get the move to the upside. If we're going off of the lows, I mean, the most recent cycle was an L4 into another L4 into an L2. Gross. Into another L2. I mean, it's just so choppy, sloppy in here. Ugh. Over on crude, yesterday we were looking for a potential short on crude oil, but the inventories told us they came out bullish. That's a no-go. that's a real hard pass if you're looking for a bearish number and it comes out bullish. Yeah, no thanks. Good thing, too, because the market just rallied all the way up into the highs, continued back up into almost 84. Did it make it there? 83.95? Close. But, I mean, really what we've got going on from the largest starting point, which I guess would be that trap low from the left of the chart there. We started off the initial rally to the upside with the bulls rotating up off of the 74.46s. And I say bulls because very obviously they defended it when it came back. so kind of got to give them the benefit of the doubt there. As far as the bulls are concerned, they obviously defended, but as they go up into new highs, let's see if anybody got stuck. Nice little breakout. If these are shorts, they would have been allowed to get out of break even. So that's kind of a fresh start to the story. Let's start there. That dip would have changed things. Let's see if any new shorts would have wanted to have come in around these highs. Ooh, yeah, now we're talking. 77.78. Now we've got some stuck shorts. Perfect. So let's continue along the measurement. Oops, hang on. 77.78. We'll go up to the next high. Got a slight POC shift. If you were to put the volume in the middle, because that would have been their average, they would not have been able to get out of break even, so we know that they're still stuck. Go up to the next high. 78.88. That's also the bounce point. But again, we know that they haven't been able to get out of break even. If we go to the inside high, they do have an extra POC here. I'm going to put this as dashed because this is an inside high. So I don't necessarily count those at all times, but I do want to see, did they do enough work with those inside highs to actually get an average, right, to get out? And if we go over here, did anything change? They actually got a couple of them in there. So that'll be a useful calculation to come back to, but those are not part of my primary calculation. I'm still assuming that shorts are massively stuck. Let's go up to the next new high, see if there's any POCs inside of there. 79.98. Good. Go up to the next high. Actually, there's two little highs in there, so we'll go up to the first one. No change. Go up to the next one. No change. Go up to the new one. At some point. Still no change. Okay. So, as far as the stuck shorts are concerned, right, trying to figure out where they may be in from, there's a couple different ways to calculate it, right? We've got the dashed lines inside of there that could be additional entries, but just the solid line, 77.77, 78.30, 78.87, 79.98. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 4? 4. 78.73 is where they are stuck from still. 78.73 right there. So, if we do get a dip back to 78.73 from that perspective, that's going to be a huge area of interest. But there were a couple extra additions inside of there, namely, as the market was rallying, as the market was rallying higher inside of here, we had those two additional ones. So let's get those in the mix. 78.30, 78.87, 79.98, 80.44. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be 79.07 rounding down. 79.07 is right there. So that tells us something. Hopefully I don't have to spell that one out for you. We've very obviously have the modified entry traders, the aggressive traders. Myself would be one of those types of traders where you see entering in, exiting for a loss, but adding a bit more to modify your entry. The aggressive scaling in, they've gotten out. They already got their break evens. They're done. That's all they got was break even. Maybe like 3 or 4 ticks below that. But that's the break even point. And given that response that happened there, I think it's safe to say that the modified entry traders have escaped, right? They've gotten out. So the only traders who are left are 78.73, unless there's a new POC that forms. And there hasn't been yet. So we know that the modified entry, the aggressive shorts, the JPs and all of them, they're out. But, well, the rest of them aren't. As far as the euro's concerned, grinding back to the upside, it is still making higher highs, higher lows, and the overall momentum, I mean, we've really got to hand it to the bulls here that this is really strong. You know, this is a really strong move to the upside that is demonstrating really good bullish intent. This is also a completion of a lot of major longer-term objectives. But remember, when we were talking about this area, we're not just talking about like a small, casual little amount or anything like that. We're talking. Hang on one second. Let me get my chart over here, and we'll go to the NQ. Oops, not the NQ. Jeez. Is it the E6? Yeah, for God's sake. Euro USD. God forbid I do the Euro futures freaking thing. So from we got to go out even further to a weekly perspective. This is where things have been a little bit challenging from the Euro, from the overall perspective that the bulls have been winning absolutely nothing for years. Okay? Not a small amount of time here. For years, they've been getting pummeled. So the overall momentum that we've got going on here is just another lower high and probably another lower high. The only caveat is that we finally have a higher low. The last time that happened, it ended up just being a couple higher lows inside of a 3-press wedge wolf wave, good old wolf wave, and then a short back down. If we look at this, we've got 1, 2, 3. we've still got the same rotation inside of there. I suppose if it were going to go back up one more time, realistically trapping above these highs, it'd make sense, but the anticipation is down. And if we look at this as a correlative nature, right, from the top to the bottom on the initial spike, that would put the euro with downside objectives at 0.88. That is catastrophic. Okay? Like, that's some serious freaking problems. I mean, that's a big move, right? We're talking like really big problems in the horizon if that were to take place. We're still inside the wedge. We have not seen the breakdown. I mean, this is a weekly chart, okay? We're in the middle of a weekly wedge. We could be years from that taking place. But it is good to note at least what's taking place in the larger perspective. This could also easily be a strong leg up that buyers are defending off of the lows on, knowing that they only have to risk a little bit for a very large reward that could potentially explode to a multi-decade type trade. So, we're in a big spot, is what I'm getting at. There's a lot of stuff that we got to pay attention to inside of here. Let me get this back to ETH. I was curious. They do have Femex on here. That is so awesome. But does volume work? Oh my God, volume works. Oh baby. Okay. I've got a couple things that I'm working on in the background, and boy howdy does that help. Lordy, lordy. Of course, I made the mistake of trying to send Ethereum during all of this, and I sent it with far too low of fees for the market to be volatile, and it's taking a century and a half. I don't even know if it's going to send. That was my bad. Anyway. So as far as the euro is concerned, I mean, we do have some nice upward momentum, but we've got to keep in mind where we are. The channel is rotating pretty nicely. It would make a lot of sense to see some type of rotation down, range consolidation, etc. Looks like we've got a pretty nice range consolidation right now. Much more beneficial to be down here. So, yeah, it always has worked on TradingView, but I didn't know that it worked on Femex perpetual contract swaps. That's totally different. Like, I'm not just looking at, oh, Bitcoin on Coinbase. I'm looking at like the underlying perpetual futures on Femex. That volume is very interesting for short-term psychological scalping, if that gives you a clue as to what I'm looking at. Anyway, we've got Bitcoin now, obviously with a whole bunch of volatility, but it seems like buyers are just BTFDing into the 64,000s. Settlements right in the middle. Buyers are looking for more continuation up. We'll have to wait and see what they want to do. Looking really good. Ethereum did catch up. Man, did they catch up. Holy crap. They caught up, that's for sure. We went screaming all the way up. And now, from where they were, we were talking about them kind of jokingly going into this wedge of non-existence. They've rallied up. What is that in percent? Don't give me the ticks. Come on now. 12% up to the highs. Sheesh. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally missed that question, Maurice. Thank you for pointing it out, Stephen. But what are the graphs on the bottom of the screen? So as far as those are the MACDs, as a side note. I'm not into like, oh, I'm gonna hide these indicators. Those are just MACDs at the bottom. As far as the MACD is concerned, I actually have several videos on YouTube that go over the usefulness of the MACD. In the settings for the MACDs that I have at the bottom are those settings from the videos. But those are right here for you. We've got, whoa, geez. Okay, sure. I just went screaming in there. But we've got the 2049 and the 5217 for the MACD. It's just fast and slow. Really, the big thing, the idea, again, with all of these, and there is something to be said about, yes, they are kind of irrelevant or relevant. they're to give you an underlying idea of what the pressure is. I like using these on slower time frames and what I like calling undertows. So if I were to look at this as an example, and I see that we've got a perpetual downtrend on the MACD, slow and fast while the market is climbing higher, that would be what I would consider an undertow. The market is kind of hung a weight on the end of it and it's dragging it down. Right? Now, if we can break away from that, which is currently what it's doing here, then it demonstrates signs of bullishness. It's only done it on the faster, but the slower is starting to get there. You know, it's giving us a general view of what's going on in the underlying. It's kind of like the ocean current, if you will. Not to be misconstrued with anything that you could potentially scalp, like the here and now, but it would work really well as build-in swings, stuff like that, as giving you a sentiment of where to go. Obviously, the Nasdaq, I didn't get my fill. I had my limits there all night at 15,291.50. They made it down to 15,300. They missed me by about 9 points. Didn't quite get there. As far as the overall continuation is concerned of what's going on the morning session, looking at what's going on here, going with, what do we got, about 9 minutes until the open? We are currently stuck inside a wedge. Yeah, for sure. Depending on the wedge. If we're going with current session, then that's what we have to work with. The big thing that I really have to kind of look at, as far as a standout, is this higher low is pretty decisive. And on that higher low, we've got the POC point hovering at 15,350. Now, 15,350 is, I mean, it's created a pretty solid point of interest. It's just got to be able to get going above that. So far, the sellers are defending it. If the bulls can shut them down, then that will probably be the reversal point. Otherwise, we might have to create like a lower high POC or something like that. Or a higher low, rather. Both of the POCs are back at 350, though. Yikes. The S&P has also done a whole lot of nothing, so we'll just get up close and personal and let it do its thing. And we've got the open right around the corner, not too far away anymore. Nasdaq attempting to get some bullish conviction back to the upside, although still stuck predominantly in the wedge. Not really proving a whole lot there. I wonder how well 5 minute is already there. This is not color linked. USD. I just have to remember not to draw volume on it, but I want to start gauging the intraday movement on Ethereum, and the euro hasn't exactly been the most interesting thing in the world anyway, so. I'm going to throw Ethereum up in the top right corner there. This is Coinbase data, so prices may vary. As an example, if I were to look at FEMX on the 5 minute candles high on Coinbase, it's 43.60.15. On FEMX, it's 43.74.40. So there will be some variations in price. When I'm referencing things, I'll try to reference the candle's high or low, something like that. Really nice Nasdaq potential continuation here. I like the 47 quarters from the risk perspective, given that we've got about 4.5 minutes left. There's still plenty of time. They've got a shot to try to get that going. Honestly, it'd be nice to see if they can get any inside pullback within there. Or no pullback at all. That's another way to go. Sorry, my kids left all their stuff all over my desk. I was always curious if you ever traded coin, how would you trade Bitcoin, Ethereum as scalping mode? As far as Bitcoin and Ethereum on a scalping perspective, that cross pair is not one that I would normally trade, unless you're just saying Bitcoin or Ethereum. For me, I like Femex. Femex is the one that I prefer as far as like intraday trading, because you get almost no slippage, hardly ever. Even during really high volatile moments, when you do get slipped, it's not nearly as painful as I've seen on other ones. So I personally, I like Femex myself. That's the one that I use. And that one allows the ability to trade with just spot trading, right? So meaning like the underlying currency itself. So like Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever. You can just trade it outright, but the way that I use it is contract trading, or what I was talking about. I was excited to see the perpetual swaps and all those. With Ethereum, it's Ethereum USD, but you can go up to 20x leverage. So it allows the ability to intraday scalp effectively without having to put on that much capital. And the cool thing is, the way that Femex works, at least, and just so you have it, that's the link for it. That's the link for Femex. But when you're looking at that as an outlet, the one thing that I really like about Femex, again, is that you don't really have very many fees. They have premium, and actually, if you use the referral link that I just posted, you actually get, like, I think a month or something like that of premium. Don't quote me. I don't remember what the perks are. But that reduces the fees even further, where you're not paying any fees on spot trading. So, I mean, literally commission-free trading. Which is always nice, of course. Hey, Maurice, welcome to the fam, my friend. Good to have you on board. Don't forget to get in the Discord chat as well. If you need help, let me know. Anyway, that's my preference there, because what I like to do is utilize the Femex high the high leverage rate. And with the high leverage, what they do is liquidate once it reaches a certain point. So I use the leverage as my stop. So instead of having to place in stops, because I'm not a big fan of it, I would rather swing trade on that, like grab a scalp, take off a portion of it, and then let the rest run. And with that rest of it running, that's, it fits. It works really well. And then if you're trading on the spot side of things, you can transfer your profits out to Nexo and let them accrue interest. And Femex has an in-house interest earning capability as well. And there's just a lot of really cool perks. That's my preferred if I'm going to be scalping it. Binance is another one that's all right. But honestly, Prime XBT would be one that, if you're looking at scalping aggressively, would be another one that would work pretty well. But Prime XBT is a little bit less friendly to US, so VPN it up. Hey, Vicky, how's it going? Ace, welcome. Good morning, good morning. All right, Nasdaq's getting a little bit of a dip back into the entry point, looking for a continuation pulse back to the upside with the open volatility to help out. Upside objectives in the 51s. Wow. Really? That came like a tick away from my target. There we go. All right. No, there's no way to... a little bit of slippage on the back and forth there, but... there's no way to scalp on, at least not with Coinbase, which is the only one that I know of that connects to Ninja. They do have some connections with Binance, but they're shaky, and you can't trade through any of them, which really sucks. I wish that weren't the case. But, well, it is, so... Beautiful continuation to the upside, following it through. Quick little scalp push into the open. Not really much else going on. Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense. Why would they want you to trade from their platform from someone who's not charging you anything and they're not getting anything for it? Like, from a business standpoint, it just doesn't make any sense for them, which, you know, it would be incredibly altruistic if they allowed it, but Ninja's already shown us their hand, and that's not their hand. So, that's not how they operate. Nice little flush dip down into the support zone on the Nasdaq in the 38s. But there's still a lot of volatility here. On the S&P, much more interesting around the 19 quarters. Taken in. Dipping a little bit underneath. Still not really getting much else going, though. Looking for the scalp back to the upside. 19 quarter up to 20 quarter. See if they can finish the job. Got to 3, 4. Testing. There we go. Quick little scalp out of the S&P as well. It's kind of picking them from all ends here, but not really holding on for any larger momentum, just because we're still stuck inside the larger range. The overall perspective is obviously still bullish, like buyers want to be long. It's just a matter of where. You know? This could be the launching point. Like, from a swing perspective, this is a really nice spot. The probability is not great, but the reward's very high from here. So swings will be taking longs here for sure. Ethereum continuing to the upside, gaining more momentum. Yeah, I'm kind of, truth be told, I'm kind of looking at the Nasdaq and the S&P and Bitcoin and Ethereum as trading outlets. Gold and crude oil and the euro and all of those on a separate monitor, just because they set up so infrequently. And Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're, given how easy it is to get into some of these, man, I would really like to start getting that in play. Even if we only did like a small account challenge of a couple $100 in Femex or something, just to get it going. I think there's some definite usefulness there. The problem is it's not very easy to scalp and all of that, and it's, you know, again, it's no ninja, if you will. But it would be effectively intraday trading Ethereum and anything else that has some decent volume on Femex. I'm not sure. We'd have to look at TradingView to see what those are, but S&P jumping pretty nicely back to the upside on that dip. Scalpers got their dip and the flip. Looks like Link would be the next most voluminous on Femex. Which, by the way, that Link trade that we've been talking about for the last couple days, You're welcome. It's a really nice spot right now. It's a really, really nice spot. Sorry, the you're welcome was, we've been watching Moana again. There's just something about that movie. And the fact that I didn't know The Rock could sing. Go Dwayne. We've got some downward candle gapping on the S&P from the close to the open, and that's only on the S&P, the Nasdaq not reflecting that. Speaking of Link, looking at Link as far as the overall momentum is concerned, we've got the kind of back and forth move going on, stretching out for 15-minute chart's not going to do it. 60-minute chart is going to have to be the area. And you can see we're breaking above that shelf. Like, we could still come back and bounce off of this several times around 27. By no means is that necessarily done. But the launch point, we're looking for upside objectives all the way up into like the 3175s. If they can start reaching through there, then you'd have to go back to the previous volume all the way up to the high, which is still balanced back at 27.14. So, I mean, if they break through above that, what's left? You've got to go out to the daily then. Then you're talking 43s, 44s, potentially all the way back up to the highs, 53s. I mean, look at the potential. The risk versus the reward is just nuts. S&P getting slammed down a little bit harder here. Nasdaq trying to hang on to the upside. They do have a lot of funky candle gapping that went on down here. You see all this weirdness? They had like the close to open, no gap there, but then gapped up again. It's like this whole area down here is unfinished business. Buyers are buying into the dip so far though. Dwayne's doing a collab with a rapper on a new song, really? Like, is he rapping or singing? Hey, more power to him. I feel like Dwayne is going to be the Shaq of the industry, you know? Like, he's just got his fingers in everything. Icy hot? Yeah. Yeah, we'll do it. Shoes? Done. Like, that dude, I mean, business mindset all the way. He is on everything. And Dwayne's starting to get that way, too. Hey. Gotta bring in the cheddar, right? He rapped for a commercial recently, too? Did he really? I must have missed that. I gotta look for that. On Ethereum, short-term bulls may be looking for a potential pickup underneath the 4256s. Nice little pocket of wicks inside there. Alright, here everything sits. 9:39. We've almost got the first 10 minutes locked in. Not a whole lot else has happened so far. The S&P hanging out pretty down low, whereas the Nasdaq's up at the top. Still a nice little supportive area on the Nasdaq, for the S&P on this dip, but we're gapping down. There's definitely some concerns for a potential larger pullback into the 15s, 14s. Candle closing into 940, but not really changing a whole lot. Much nicer zone on Ethereum would be a little bit further down towards the 4200s, or potentially even digging in above that in the 4220s. If they can't hold up here. It's weak up here. I would rather see the deeper pullback. Nasdaq continuing its pulse back to the upside. Hovering around settlement, though, is making this area really, really awkward. It'd be super nice to get away from this. It's just not really doing much, huh? Jeez. Ethereum starting to get the dip into the zone of interest. This is where bulls will be looking for a quick bounce back up into the 4265s for like an $8 bounce rather. Otherwise, the larger dip area is in the 4220s. Nasdaq continuing on its merry way to the upside, and the S&P's hanging back like, hey, wait a minute. What's what do you mean? Come back. Filling in the gap a little bit, and this is the area of concern. 45.21. We also had gapping off the top, 22 quarter down to 22. It's got some issues. The Nasdaq doesn't have any of those problems. Nasdaq's still having some trouble. Or the S&P rather. Jeez, I'm getting these all jumbled up. One of the indexes is having trouble. Looking to see if the bulls want to keep this train going on the S&P, or if the Nasdaq is just putting some icing on the cake before a much larger drop. Not showing any candle gapping to the upside. The S&P is not helping. We've got some problems here. Gold going bull engulfing on the last 5 minute. And the Nasdaq is just ripping. S&P is hanging out. It doesn't know what it wants to do. S&P kind of freaking me out a little bit, though. I gotta say, I'm not feeling the longs right now. We've got some work to do. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in a fist fight. We've got some downward gapping going on from the highs, but the bulls are holding the lows. The Nasdaq's breaking higher, so, I mean, one would think that the S&P would continue along its merry way to the upside. Just hasn't given a very clear indication of that. Nice little bull bar to try to get it done, though. I'm going to see if I can get back on the bid, though. Nice little movement back on the bid. Tested the scalp area, but no fill. Tested, no fill. Tested, no fill. Apparently I'm not the only one. Jeez, thank you. All right. Speak too soon. Yeah, I know, right? We just needed that bull bar. They needed to finish the job. I mean, look at all the wicks on the bottom. When they complete that bull bar, it's sealing the deal. Like, yeah, yup, game time. Oh, how quickly things change, though, huh? All right, another scalp under the belt, 946. Ethereum catching a little bit of a bounce back up again. I'm still not a huge fan of this short-term zone, but if it does go up, it's like an $8 or $9 target. Really small stuff. High leverage, small move. S&P continuing further up. Just scalping. No real swings yet. There's not really been any areas good enough for a swing. I really wish I would have put not Ethereum over here. All right. Duplicate in a new tab. I'm going to put Ethereum over here. No, Bitcoin would be here. Duh. I'll leave Ethereum there. Fine, whatever. Ethereum over there is good. And then Link is the next most voluminous. So let's do that one down here, which I believe... Oops, Link. There we go. Again, the only reason is primarily because just nothing's really been setting up very frequently on gold and crude. I'll leave them off screen in favor of something a bit more interesting. Nasdaq continuing back to the upside, retesting 15,379.75. Those are the earlier entry points that we were talking about as far as the break-evens are concerned, but not really anything else going on. And here we sit, just kind of hovering, hanging out, not really doing much of anything. Gold rejecting back down off settlement and pressuring down, back down towards like the 82s. Having some difficulty there on gold. And again, from the bigger perspective, we're kind of coming off the highs, and now we've got 3 lower highs. It's not looking good for the bulls anyway up here, but you know, we'll see. If the ES does not close above the candle high, did the sellers come back in and smack it down? I mean, That's a really good question. We're starting to finally get some momentum away. They're closing higher. The Nasdaq's not helping anything, but it still seems like the bulls have strength to me. I just don't want to be a buyer way up at the top. The problem is the S&P's kind of got some catching up to do. You know, it might just leave everybody behind. Making me wish I'm entering my scalps in with more size, though. that's so far, every single one has just gone straight into the direction. I've only had one. Jeez. S&P testing the settlement, breaking above. Nasdaq also continuing higher. Moving on up. Keeps on going. Bitcoin zone of resistance for a potential scalp back to the downside for short, 65,980, would be more likely a half to one because it favors the longs definitively. So shorts on Bitcoin have it around 65,980, but it's only like a $340 move, and it's a half to one scalp. A pullback on Link into the lower 28s could be really, really nice. There's a lot of support down there in the 2820s, starting from 2820s. Still screaming to the upside. Uh-oh, here comes another one of those never gonna pull back kind of days, huh? Okay. Noted. Oh my god, this MetaMask Brave Wallet transfer speed on Ethereum is just pulling my freaking hair out over here. It's my own fault. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be cheap. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be 100%. I'm trying to be cheap on the transfer for Ethereum, but I did it before the market went crazy. So I tried getting away with like a $3 transfer fee because at the time that was quick, and not 2-3 minutes after I clicked send, the market went freaking crazy, and well, it's still waiting, and I'm probably way back in the line now. I just have a hard time, you know, like, man, the transfer fees on Ethereum are so gross. All right, market's just kind of hanging out. There's not really a whole lot else going on. From the Link perspective, it's like the smallest stop on the planet. It's like a 6-cent stop. Oh, I know, right? Oh, you want to transfer 2 Ether? That's going to be $6 grand. Like, bro, what? It's unbelievable. And then you look at lumens. It's like, oh, you want to transfer? You want to transfer 10 grand? That'll be 20 cents. It'll be there in 6 seconds. Like, why would I use anything else unless I have to? Ethereum does dip a little bit further down. Now, we are getting closer to the more likely area of interest. The shorter term did not hold. Wasn't necessarily expected to, but there it is. We've got about 5 minutes until 10 o'clock. Exactly 5 minutes until 10 o'clock, in fact. And the market's just kind of chopping around. We had, what, 3 scalps so far today? Did I hear you say something about a small account channel? Yeah, so I was thinking about, and obviously as you can see on the screen, introducing a lot more, because the liquidity is so much better, introducing a lot more the trading on Bitcoin and Ethereum and Link. And maybe not necessarily Bitcoin, because I don't want to maintain that on FEMX, because I would rather hold it on the next most voluminous, so Ethereum and Link. And if I want to trade Bitcoin, then I'll just take profit into Bitcoin, right? I mean, that's why I'm not going to be necessarily trading Bitcoin. But speaking of, Ethereum starting to get a nice little dip down into the zone of interest. These kind of days, though, give me something to work with. Oh, yeah, I know. It's rough. But, you know, introducing other markets that still have a good amount of liquidity, these are nice little spots. This is a much nicer area on Ethereum for bulls to be trying to pick it back up. And you can see, I mean, immediate responsiveness off of it, although the other one did have that too. Ooh, Nasdaq, or the S&P is starting to get a little bit of a dip down towards these lows. We did test settlement, so that's a little bit of a bummer. That was a lot of volatility there. 22.75, 21.75. I'm going to see if I can pick it up on a little bit of a deeper pullback with a 1-point offset. We're getting a little bit shaky, and we just came off settlement. It's more likely that we're going to pull back further anyway. You know what? I'm going to offset 1 more point. If we weren't coming off a settlement, I wouldn't feel the need to offset the risk so much, but yeah, that's tough. Beautiful responsive buying off of Ethereum. As far as this zone, they didn't really go into it much, so I guess we just have to use the top. There's 2 different schools of thought, really. I mean, we could go underneath the intermediary swing, given that it's not done anything else. That would leave initial scalpers' objectives about 38 to 40 bucks, up to 42.57. Link hasn't quite pulled back far enough. Bitcoin didn't even come close to the shorting area. And as far as Link, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that one. I think it makes a lot more sense to be something like this. Link's a bit on shakier ground, I gotta say, but it is there. 67-cent risk for 34-cent upside. Obviously, high leverage when you're talking 30-cent moves, but how does that work on FEMX? Hang on, let me look at Link. Where are you at? Link. 1 contract is 0.2 Link, so 5 contracts would be 1 Link then, right? So if I'm using 4x, 5x leverage, sure, 4 or 5x leverage. 5 contracts is 1 that would cost me $5 to trade. So, okay, fair enough. So for every 34 cents, it's $5. That's how you got to look at it. It's going to be a little bit weird getting used to that, but the nice thing is it's variable. You can go in and you can set the amount of percentage that you want to risk. I love that. Go in here and say, oh yeah, 5%. Does everything else for you. Yes. Oh, S&P didn't quite get the dip that I was looking for. We've got a couple seconds until 10 o'clock. Excuse me. Feel free to get those last questions in. We'll get those covered for you. Nasdaq We've got those. Oh, no, now hang on. Nah, bad timing. 5 seconds left? Nope. No, thank you. That's a twin reversal if they're going to close down like that. That's a hard pass. Beautiful. Wow, what a doji the S&P has blessed us with. All right. Anyway, we are at 10 o'clock, so let's get those last questions in, and then we'll move over into the extended session for members and VIPs. And Maurice, like I said, this is your first day. You just joined up. Again, welcome to the crew. Welcome to the family. The links are posted in Discord, but if you haven't had a chance to log in to that, you can go into the YouTube community area. As a member, you will see the members post, which has the link to log into it as well. So you just got to go to youtube.com/slingshotfutures and then click community, and you'll see it. If you have trouble, you can always shoot me an email too. You know where to get a hold of me. Link hitting the zone of support and bouncing with immediate support of bouncing. Very nice. Scalpers are the only ones that really favorably fit in here. If other traders are going to be coming in, the risk would be in the same location, but they're going to be looking for 2-to-1s, 3-to-1s, etc. 2-to-1s aren't going to even be coming in until like under 28. So 27.97. Yeah, I closed because we're creating a doji. Now we actually went up above the doji, and we have still, obviously, the doji. If this were to go lower, this would be a bear engulfing candle. I do not believe a bear engulfing candle here, but we are coming off of settlement. So I do believe that the sellers will have enough to at least potentially move a point. So I have to offset by a point. If I wanted to be aggressive, I could just buy straight at 22.75 and just say, yep, good enough. But we're coming off a settlement. I can't. Right? I've got to buy at a slightly better price. I've got to do what I can to get in a better spot. Even if that means that I missed the trade, it's worth the trade-off of the risk versus the probability. At least in favor of the reward. Anyway. That's going to do it for the morning side of things. Hopefully everyone had a great morning, and it was all scalps for me. Nothing really else going on there. We've got a couple potential setups setting on the crypto end of things, and yeah, we'll see if the S&P wants to actually play ball or not. Either way, though, that's going to do it. If you're hanging out in the extended session or on the VIP side, just hang out, listen to me talk to myself for a couple minutes here, and we'll swap over. Otherwise, though, we will see you all tomorrow, right? Have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks.